Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Laura B, and as you guys seen in the description down below, we are going to be doing a palette review on the new Nudes palette by Huda Beauty. And if you guys want to see how to get this look and what my thoughts were on this palette, go ahead and keep watching. Thank you guys so much for clicking today. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also hit the notification bell so you guys are notified every time I do post a video. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Okay guys, so as you guys can see, I already have a little bit of my face prepped, and I went ahead and left some translucent powder underneath my eyes in case of any fallout, because today we are going to be using the new Nudes palette by Huda Beauty, and this is how the palette looks. It did come in this packaging, and it just says new Nudes and Huda Beauty on the front of it, but this is how the palette does look. And it does come with 18 eyeshadows. There are 10 buttery mattes, 4 reflective shadows, 2 pressed glitters, 1 pressed pearl, and 1 concealer base. So those are the 18 shades in here, and let me go ahead and show you guys the inside of the palette. So this is how the palette looks. It does come with this little film overlay that goes over the eyeshadows, and these are the shadows. So yesterday I did try and film a look, the review using this palette, but it went really bad really fast because I ended up learning that my mic wasn't on. So I'm going to try this again. So this is the concealed base that it does come with, and this is the 1 pressed pearl that it comes with, the 2 glitter, what are these? 2 pressed glitters, and then 4 of the reflective shades are right here, and then of course it comes with its standard matte colors. But this is how the palette looks. So if you guys can see, it's a very gorgeous palette. It also, let me get the mirror for you guys. It does come with this large mirror, so it's a pretty decent size. You can use this anywhere, which is pretty cool. I love that her mirrors are so nice on the inside. So that's how the palette looks, and it's a gorgeous palette. So let's just go ahead and start with the eyes. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in so we can get started with this palette, and I can let you guys know my thoughts and how I feel about the palette. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in. Okay guys, so I went ahead and zoomed you guys in as much as I could without it being too zoomed in. So let's go ahead and start with this palette. I'm going to take my Morphe 441 brush, and this is my favorite brush for transitions. I do love white haired brush. As you guys can see in my last videos, these are some of my favorite brushes, so I always use these brushes. So I'm not going to do any different with this palette, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the palette. And the first shade that I'm going to go into is going to be this shade right here, and it is called Play in the palette, and it's more of a peachy nude color. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with that shade, and I'm going to take that and tap my brush off a little bit because these shadows are a little dusty. And I'm going to go ahead and start on the inner corner of my eye, and I'm just going to work my way to the crease area and just kind of take this in the crease area and blow it out a little bit. And I'm going to do windshield wiper motions like I do with every look that I do. So I'm not going to be doing anything different than I do with my other looks. Let me get this box out of the way. So this shade is very pigmented. I really like that. I thought it was going to be a lot lighter than it is, but it's very pigmented and it works well. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the same shade, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other eye. And I'm just blending that color into my crease area so I can create a nice transition for the darker shades that we're going to be going into. And I do work in sections. I like to take a little bit at a time. Okay, so I did create a pretty decent base with that. It is very pigmented. I hope that my lights aren't washing it out too much. But the next color that we're going to go in with is going to be this color down here in the shade Secret. And this is a pretty nice mauvey brown color that's right here. So that shade is Secret. And I'm going to go ahead and use my same M441 brush that we were using to buff that first color into the crease. And I'm just going to take that same color and put it right into the crease area where we put that other color. And as you guys can tell, this is very, very pigmented. And it's blending out really, really nice. So I like that. I'm having no issues with blending it. And it practically blended out itself. If you guys can see that, it's like already blended, so that's a plus. This palette does have a lot of fallout, but it's not something that I mind. They're very powdery shadows, but honestly, excuse me, but honestly, they're working so fine. Shade, but they are working just fine, so I don't have an issue with that. And this color was really, really light in the pan, but it's coming out very, very nicely pigmented. So I'm happy that they're nice and pigmented. So if you guys can tell, they blended out really, really nicely. So the next color I'm going to go in with, well, actually the next brush I'm going to go in with is this wash these brushes. So of course they're like a little bit everywhere. But I'm going to take my Morphe M514 and I'm going to take that and on this shade on the corner. It's called Teddy. It's a nice nude here in the palette. It's a little bit darker than that second shade we went in with. So I'm going to go ahead and take that on my M514. And I'm just going to start putting that a little bit lower than we took the other shade. And I'm just going to buff that into the outer crease area and start going in circular motions and kind of buffing that color out. If you guys can tell, these are performing very, very well. They are amazing. They are nicely pigmented and I'm really pleased with them. It's not surprising, honestly, because all of her palettes to me have done such a great job. They're some of my favorite palettes to use, so for me it's not a surprise. I actually really like her palettes, so I didn't think this was gonna be a fail. The only thing is with this palette is to test out those multi-reflective shades that she put in this palette, so that's going to be the true test, because I have tried her glitter shade out of her other palette that she has out. I have already tried those. Those are nice. It's just a loose glitter, so it's not anything different. But those multi-reflective shades are going to be the true test. Now I'm going to be taking my Morphe M433 brush and I'm going to take that onto this shade right here in the palette, and it's in the shade Raw. It's a lot darker than the last two shades that we had used, so I do want to try and use as much mattes as I can, as many colors in this palette that I can use. So I'm going to go ahead and take that shade Raw in the palette, and I'm just going to take a little bit at a time and kind of work it because I'm not sure how dark it's going to be. All these colors came out to be a lot darker than what they are in the pan, so they're very, very pigmented. So I'm just going to take that a little bit lower and kind of buff it on this outer corner area, and as you guys can see, that is very, very pigmented. And I'm just going to drag whatever's left on my brush, and I'm going to drag that color in to my crease area. Okay guys, so that color showed up very nicely, if you guys can tell. Everything blended out really well. So the only thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take that first brush that we were using with the shade Play in the palette, and I'm going to go ahead and buff all those colors out, make sure that there's a nice blend with them. So I just took a little bit more on my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and start buffing that color out as much as I can. Start blending these colors together and making sure that they're nice and they're going into a nice gradient. So if you guys can see, I'm just blending those colors together and making sure they're nice and blended. So I do have a little bit of foundation in my hair, but oh well, I'll clean it later. Okay, if you guys can see, the colors blended so nicely. So now I'm going to go in with a little bit of a deeper shade in that last M433 brush that we were using. And I'm going to go ahead and take that into the shade Spanked in the palette, which is going to be this outer corner shade in the palette. And I'm going to take a little bit of that and I'm going to try and work that into my crease area as well. So I'm going to take that onto this part of my lid. Instead of taking it out here, I'm just going to start right here on my lid and kind of like blend that color in. And then start blending it in the inner crease part of my eye instead of taking it out here. And it's a little bit more of a pinky toned color, if you guys can see. So I hope it's picking up really well on camera how these shades are performing, and they are doing really well, honestly. I haven't had any complaints so far. And I don't have any fallout. As you guys can see, I don't have any fallout yet, which is great. But we still have a few more colors to use, so let's go ahead and see how that goes. So now I'm going to be taking this shade right here, and it is in the shade Love Bite. So I'm going to take that shade, and I'm going to go ahead and take that on this Morphe M562 brush, and it's a little detail brush, if you guys can tell. I'm going to go ahead and take that into that shade Love Bite that I was showing you. And it is a purpley shade, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that color and start working it into my crease area. So I'm just going to start working that right here in my crease area and kind of creating a nice defined line, because I do want this color to show through. And I think I'm going to be doing like either a cut crease or some kind of glitter on my eye, because we still have to go in with these other colors. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that into the crease area. This is a good brush for like detail work in the crease area. So if you guys can see, so I'm going to take a little bit more of that color and keep blending that into my crease area and kind of dragging it out. I really like how this color is performing. I don't really ever use purples or any kind of colorful colors. Honestly, I'm more attracted to like warm tone colors. So I never play with these pink tone colors or these like more soft mauve colors. But I really like how this look is turning out, and I'm really enjoying playing with these new colors. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye and kind of work that in my crease area. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Trying to look at my viewfinder just to see if it's showing up well. Okay guys, so that's going to be that with the mattes. So now I'm going to go ahead and try and use one of these reflective colors. I'm actually going to go ahead and try and use a few of these just to see how they work. So I'm going to go in with my flat brush by LMR. And this is just going to be like a little flat, I use this for my cut crease, so I'm going to go ahead and use this for one of these shades. And I'm going to go ahead and take this shade right here at the top of the palette, and it's in the shade Crave. And I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to work this color right into the inner corner of my eye. That is so pretty. I really hope my camera's picking that up because it is very, very pretty. And I am getting a little bit of fallout with this shade, which I was expecting. That's why I ended up leaving the translucent powder there. But if you guys can see, this shade is very, very, very pretty. So I want to use a few of these shades. So I'm just going to take that up to kind of like this part of my eye. And then I'm going to go in with the second shade. So the second shade I'm going to go in with is probably going to be this shade right here. And this is in the shade Daydream. So I'm just going to take that on the back side of that brush that we were using, and I'm going to go ahead and dip into this color, and it looks like it's picking it up very well. So I'm going to go ahead and start placing that and blending it in with the other shade that we just used, and start placing this in the middle part of my eye because I do want to go in with another shade on the outer corner of my eye. So if you guys can tell, these colors are performing very, very well. They do have a little bit of fallout, which I don't mind. Honestly, usually I do my face last and I do my eyes first. But for today's video, I did want to focus on the eyeshadow. So I went ahead and started on my face. So if you guys are seeing this, that's with no Fix Plus, no kind of setting spray on my brush. I didn't use anything. I went in with a dry brush, and that's how much it's coming up. So these colors are very reflective. I'll go ahead and show you guys. This is how reflective they are. They're very beautiful shades. Other than that, let's go into the third shade, and I'm going to go ahead and take this shade right here in the palette, and it's the shade Fantasy. And this is a little bit darker than the last two we used, so I'm going to go ahead and take that on the same brush. And I'm going to go ahead and place that on the outer crease area, just to get this look, a nice look. So if you guys can see, it kind of turns into three different these are like duochromes. So I'm going in with that shade Fantasy and picking up a little bit more just to add that on the outer corner. So I'm creating kind of like a little bit of a cut crease. And if you guys can see, that picked up very, very nicely. It shows really pretty, and they're very, very reflective. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in with that shade Love Bite on that same brush. And I'm going to go ahead and deepen up that crease area a little bit because I did get a little messy. And I'm going to take that M433 brush and take that on the shade Love Bite and just kind of blend this shade together and blend it in so it's not so stark right there. Now I'm going in with the clean brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just blend those colors together. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other eye, so I'm going to zoom you guys out a little bit just so I can focus on the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that first shade we used, and the shade is Crave, and I'm going to take that on the inner corner of my eye and just kind of blend that color in. Now I'm going to go in with Daydream in the palette, and I'm going to go ahead and place that right on the middle part, just the same way we did with the other eye, and I'm just blending those two colors together. And as you guys can tell, these are very reflective. I'm very impressed. They do have a little bit of fallout, but it's not nothing major. Honestly, I don't mind fallout because like I said, I do my face first, or I'm sorry, my eyes first and then my face last usually. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and kind of blend those colors together as much as I can. And now I'm going to go in with that last shade that we used, and this is the shade Fantasy. And I'm going to go ahead and take that on the outer corner of my eye and just start blending these colors together. And honestly, these are so beautiful. They work very, very well with your mattes. They work very well dry. I didn't need any type of setting spray, any Fix Plus, which is awesome. Usually I see people spraying their brushes, but honestly, I just wanted to see how they worked by themselves, and if anything, I would have got some Fix Plus to spray my brush with. But as you guys can see, they perform very well. So I'm going to go ahead and dust off a little bit of my under eye area. And we're going to start working with the bottom part of my eye. Okay guys, so I already went ahead and dusted off a little bit of that translucent powder. So now we're going to go ahead and work on the under eye area. And the first shade that I'm going to go in with is this Love Bite shade in the palette. And I'm going to take that on this flat shader brush from Alamar. And I'm just going to go into the shade Love Bite and take a little bit of that shade and start pressing it into my under eye area and just connecting the colors together. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of that Love Bite on the outer corner over here because I don't remember doing that. And I don't think I did, so I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. And just start blending out those colors and do the same thing to the other eye. I'm just going to go ahead and blend out these colors. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go in with this flat brush by what is this, Bodyography Pro, and it's just a flat shader brush. So I'm going to go in with this, and I'm going to take that on the shade Raw in the palette, and I'm going to go ahead and start buffing out that shade that we put at the bottom of our lower lash line. So I'm going to start buffing that color out with the shade Raw. So we're going to go ahead and use all 4 multi-reflective shades, and I'm going to go into this shade in the palette called Charmed with this Scone Cosmetics lip brush. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to go ahead and place that right on the inner corners of the eyes. Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and add some liner lashes and a little bit of inner liner to the eyes, and I'll be right back with you guys to give you guys the final thoughts on the palette. Okay guys, so my final thoughts on this new Nudes palette by Huda Beauty is honestly that I give it an A+. I love this palette. I can't wait to create more looks using this palette. If you guys want to see something different, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want to see different looks or anything that you guys have in mind that you guys would like to see from me, go ahead and put it in the comments down below. But other than that, this palette performed beautifully. As you guys seen, it did blend out the colors very, very nicely. I used all the same brushes I would normally use for any other look. And as you guys saw, they all blended out perfectly. I had no trouble blending them out, and they all performed beautifully. They all looked as beautiful as they did in the pans. So if you guys have any other thoughts on this palette, go ahead and let me know. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!